Good afternoon from Helsinki. I am taking a break from my writing and editing. I took a long walk through Keskuspuisto, this magnificent park in the heart of Helsinki that everyone uses at all hours of the day. We don't need to talk about all the uses. But I'm up on this ridge, this lovely ridge formed by these big boulders, the Kivet, which I believe is one of the iconic design patterns of the textile company Marimekko. These big boulders that were dropped and scraped during when the last ice age, when the glaciers receded. That's what they tell us. But yeah, I had a wonderful snack of Karjalan piirakka. Unfortunately store-bought, but that was my favorite food growing up. The little rye crust pies with the egg, not the egg filling. You put the munavoi, the egg spread on top, but it's rice-filled or sometimes potato-filled. My grandmother made them all through my childhood and would even mail me them when I was in college, it's just a treat to have them. Futzer makes a decent one, mass produced, but whatever. I've made them myself, but it's quite a long labor of love. Anyway, I didn't make this video to talk about food or rocks or climate or the beautiful forest here. I wanted to do a poem by Cesare Pavese, and very different landscape, one of my favorite landscapes in the world other than the Finnish forests and lakes and rocks and the seas and the archipelago, is the rolling hills of the Langhe. All those beautiful vineyards, all the hazelnut trees, there's a few pear trees, and they're growing more olives there, kind of ridged around the vineyards. Paulo Saracco was showing me he's starting to produce olive oil. He was one of the first to get back on the trend of growing olives in Piemonte, which fell out of favor for hundreds of years because of the climate. Obviously most the olives are in Puglia, Sicilia, Calabria, Campania, all that, and further north too. But Piemonte was never a great olive tree climate until recently, and they claim that. I'm not going to talk about the olive oil, but I'm writing a long piece about the Piemonte and all of its products, and so that's why that was in my mind. But I want to do this. It's a short, simple poem, and I'm going to read it in both Italian and in English. It's so beautiful. I believe this is one of the posthumous poems that they found after Pavese's death in 1950, I believe, if I remember right. But he was trying to get to this. He was always aiming at this style where he could say things in both prose and poetry in the simplest terms, the fewest words, and I think that was his goal. He loved the simplicity. He hated ostentatious writing. He hated anything that was overdone. So he was constantly, especially, when you plan out your death, I guess, that you're writing your last novel or your last poems and things, and you want to get them right, I guess. But Pavese was such a phenomenal writer, definitely one of my muses of 20th century writers, and I love how all of his life, all of his writings, there's this deep concern with the simple natural world and the world he grew up in as a boy in the Langhe Hills. And it's how can you mine so much out of that? and so it gives you inspiration because we can all find that in our own lives. We may not believe it; it may take us years, but there's a line there that you just have to follow. So here we go. This is Anche tu sei collina. You are also hill. You could translate in English. So I'm going to do the stanzas in Italian and then in English, and see which ones are better. It's just a very nice, simple poem with short lines, 3 stanzas. Anche tu sei collina, e sentiero di sassi, e gioco nei canetti, e conosci la vigna, che di notte tace, tu non dice parole. So it's basically, you are also hill and stony path and games in the cane fields, canetti. You knew the vineyard that at night hushes. You utter no words. Tu non dice parole. Then he continues, c'è una terra che tace e non è terra tua. C'è un silenzio che dura sulle piante e sui colli. Ci sono acque e campagne, c'è un chiuso silenzio che non cede se labbra e occhi bui. Se la vigna è una terra che attende e non dice parola, sono passati giorni sotto cieli ardenti. Tu hai giocato alle nubi, è una terra cattiva. La tua fronte lo sa, anche questo è la vigna. There's a land that hushes, and it is not yours. There's a silence that endures over the plants and hills. There are waters and countryside. You are a closed silence that won't yield. You are lips, dark eyes. You are the vineyard. It's a land that waits and doesn't say a word. Days have gone by under burning skies. You have played with clouds. It's a grudging land. Your forehead knows that this too is the vineyard. Anche questo è la vigna. So then he goes, the last one is ritroverai le nubi e il canetto e le voci, come un'ombra di luna, ritroverai parole, oltre la vita breve e notturne dei giochi, oltre l'infanzia accesa, sarà dolce tacere, se la terra e la vigna, un acceso silenzio, brucerà la campagna, come i falò la sera. Come i falò la sera. You'll rediscover clouds and the cane field, and voices like a shadow in moonlight. You'll rediscover words beyond the brief nocturnal life of games. Beyond the glow of childhood, it will be sweet to grow quiet. You're the land and the vineyard. A bright silence will burn the countryside like bonfires in the evening. So, actually, when I was reading that, it made me think of, it made me think of a lot of new things that I hadn't considered in that poem. And it's just deceptively simple. That's why I love Pavese. And I've been reading his novel, La Luna e Falò, his last novel, which is just exquisitely written, brief. And it has a lot of the same themes as this one. And I think it was written about the same time as he did this poem, which is all about the Langhe. And of course, La Luna e Falò That's in the last line of this poem. The bonfires that old pagan ritual, as they often are in lots of cultures, the old pagan rituals get rebranded in Christian times as something else and part of some festival or some celebration of some saint. But they're really about abundance and transforming the land every year into something that's fruitful and powerful. And so he had that theme, and you're always imagining, because like maybe you're at one of the castles on one of the little villages, the hilltop villages, and you can just imagine seeing these falò, these bonfires. And also, I guess that's why I wanted to do this today, because I was at a cafe this week, and I was writing on my laptop. They have this really comfortable couch that I love. I can sit there all day, and you can just refill your coffee with one price. It's the best deal in town. And these people, these Central Europeans, different countries, like 6 or 7 of them come up to me and they ask if they can sit next to me, that they're not disturbing me, because they want to sit and talk, and I think they're drinking beers. But and I was like, no, I like working in public, in cafes and restaurants with my laptop. I can concentrate deeply, and I can tune out everything around me, but sometimes if I'm taking a break or my eyes are wandering for a bit because I can't just type nonstop for hours and hours and hours, I might have a conversation. And then all of a sudden, 5 minutes later, they start speaking Italian. And none of them looked Italian. I knew one was from Czech Republic, one was from Switzerland, so yeah, da-da-da-da-da. Another was from, but they all work for an Italian company that has an office in Helsinki. And so they were having like a little after work get together, and they were all speaking like not great Italian. I mean, competent, better than me. I'm intermediate plus, getting better, but they use it every day, spoken and written. And so then I joined in because this is awesome, because we're all Italian language learners. And so we had a great time, and then I did get back to my work, and then someone else came in and they brought their Pomeranian. The Pomeranian was so charming, but had a lot of energy at that time, and it made for an interesting afternoon. I still got a lot of writing and editing done, because I was at the cafe for like 6 hours. Not my record, but anyway, enough about me. I find that in anything from Pavese, there's just a deep well. And I've also been reading. I'm going to try to get through all of his works in Italian, but also his journal is just prodigious, and it shows the power of art. Like, pretty much, he was as pure an artist as you can imagine, and that's the only thing that kept him going. I mean, he did kill himself when he was in his 40s, but up until then, it was really, he was living for his art. He had so much trauma and sadness in his life, but he transmuted everything into this amazing art, and you can see the development and the differences between his works. And he had the soul of a poet, and then he brought a lot of that energy into his novels, and his novels got more and more spare and precise. And La Luna e Falò is, I think, one of the most gorgeous little novels you can imagine, and it's deceptive, like that poem I just read. It's deceptive because it like that poem doesn't always feel like poetry. It's just like how could he's using very simple imagery and simple lines, but the way he puts them together, and if you know the story behind it, he's actually talking about this um, uh, woman. They used to blame her for, well, not blame her, but that she was the reason why he killed himself, is that unrequited love kind of thing. American actress that he had on and off relationship with. But anyway, and he keeps mining the same landscapes and the same territories, but there's enough difference if you pay attention and you see how he's using those elements in kind of profoundly different ways in his different writings. And yeah, again, his journals, which they titled Mestiere di Vivere. I guess you could translate that as what the business of living, or like the craft of living, or not the skill, but yeah, I guess the craft of living, something like that. And there's so much pain, sorrow, and joy, and the creative spirit in there. Anyway, again, I'm rambling. I'm out in nature. It's beautiful. There's a mountain biker coming this way. Always a lot of people hiking by or commuting through the park, and I am going to continue my work. I may need some more coffee today, but I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you.